Hello, everyone. Has anyone ever called you a natural? Oh my God, you're naturally this. Oh, it must be so nice to be naturally that. Has it ever happened to you? My dad was a natural athlete. Any sport he played, he was immediately excellent at. It was one of the most irritating things in my entire life as a child because I have never been a natural athlete. I'm the person who can trip over the tape on the tennis court, while my father is playing ambidextrously, both hands, two rackets, and winning. So, kind of a challenging childhood there, but I digress. I wanted to talk to you about the illusion of some kind of perfection. You see someone doing something and you say, wow. And then you kind of expect them to have an air about them, a graciousness, as though they've been, touched by the gods. And quite often they do. They get full of themselves to the point when no one in their family really wants to talk to them. But the strangers don't. Strangers say to themselves, oh, you see, that's what happens when you're a natural. I had a really lovely thing happen to me not too long ago. I met someone at an event who said, oh my God, you're you. And I said, well, yes, I am, almost every day. And we were talking about this and that and the other thing. And then he said, you're just like everyone else. You're normal. You're not, a big celebrity. You don't have a big head. And I said, no, I don't. And the reason for that is that every time I thought I had earned the right to be gracious because I was a natural, the gods would say, watch this, and present to me an opportunity to see how lucky I am just to get through each day with my dignity intact. So the story I want to tell you today actually happened, and it actually happened after I had become famous. It had actually happened in real time. Fascinating. I can't tell you. So here's what it was. I was doing a show, and I was on television every week, and I was doing theater, and I was seen around town, and I was commented on in the newspaper, and people took my picture, and so I was one of those people that you would recognize. And one day I got an invitation to a very important dinner. Not only was I invited by the most eligible bachelor in town, but we were going to meet the Prime Minister for dinner at a small, intimate gathering. And of course, darling, I didn't have a thing to wear, so I rushed off to my favorite thing to wear store, and I went up to the third floor where all the best things to wear are, and I tried on everything. I mean everything. And eventually, I found it. I found the dress. Now, I can tell you in a very easy way how to spot a dress like that. It costs 3 times your rent. That's how you can tell. You look at the price tag, you have a minor stroke, and you say, never mind, I will be lovely, and you buy the dress. And so I took off the dress, and I swanned on out to the cashier, and I said, wrap it up. And then I swanned back into the dressing room, and I got dressed. And the whole time I was thinking, I think this is going to be my moment. This dress it's giving me that mantle of graciousness. And my life is going to be forever changed by this dress. I can just feel it. And I walked out to the cashier, and I had that way about me already. I was gracious as hell. And I paid for the dress, and they smiled and they waved and pointed, and I said, yes, I know. And I left the third floor, and I walked across the little foyer, and I reached the escalator, and all the way along, I knew it was working because everyone was sort of stopping and looking and smiling and tentatively waving, and I was waving back in that way that says, no, it's fine, it's quite all right, yes, it is me, and yes, I am in your midst. And I reached the escalator, and I rode down the escalator clutching the dress in my hand and waving, of course, to all the people who were bowing and scraping and waving and smiling and cheering and all that sort of thing. And I, all the way down the escalator and across the main floor, the same thing. It was the most extraordinary moment of my life. All I could think was, I have arrived. This is what it's like. I am the natural. And I walked out of the store, and you would not believe it. The single most handsome man I had ever known in college was standing on the street. He was waiting for, I guess, his ride, and he turned around, and he'd never known me. He'd never seen me in college. I mean, he didn't know my name, but he stopped. He did a full-on double take, and he said, "Abby?" And I thought, that's it. This is the proof. I've died and gone to heaven, and I am among the gods. And I said, "Oh, hello." And I smiled, and I gave a little wave, and he burst out laughing. And he said, "How are you? Oh my God, tell me what you're up to." And I told him several clever things, and oh my gosh, he laughed, and I laughed, and we laughed together, and the stars came out and the angels sang, and it was wonderful. And his ride came, of course. And he said, "My God, you are one in a million." And he gave me a huge hug, laughing, and his friends in his car were laughing. And he got in the car, and they drove away. The car went around the corner, and I turned and I waved at him as a final wave in that way that I now had. And as I turned, I caught sight of myself in the full-length window of that store. And there I was in all my glory, waving in the way that gods can wave. And I saw that the entire back of my skirt was caught up in my pantyhose. I know, there was silence there, because I'm still not over it, apparently. And I stood there with my arms still up, really, like I was hailing an invisible cab, because I was frozen from the core of my being to every other outer reach, because I knew that every single one of those people in that store who had stopped and waved and smiled and pointed and cheered and screamed and applauded had seen something in me that I had never seen, which is what an incredible fool I was. So the moral of the story is, natural doesn't mean you don't gotta work at it. Natural doesn't mean you don't gotta get up every day and do the heavy lifting. Natural doesn't mean that you shouldn't check the back of you before you leave the goddamn dressing room. Anyway, that's it for today. See you soon.